Alrighty, back for another game with the Breya deck. This time I'm up against Toru-san, who's playing Lasav Dimmer Mastermind. This deck general I've actually seen quite a bit of, despite the fact that I don't think he's all that strong in 1v1 and honestly not even that good in multiplayer. Although he certainly has a better place in multiplayer because you're much more likely to get this ability to activate. But I think the biggest fundamental problem with him is this extremely clunky casting cost. UUBB is a really, really big ask, especially because both of these colors are kind of colors that are at their strongest when you're able to just overload on one land type. Blue decks want to put lots of blue mana into play to feed multiple counterspells a turn, and black decks, of course, want to put multiple black lands in play in order to cast their extremely greedy black spells. And so, barring drawing a lot of dual lands, you're either in a position where you're kind of playing half your deck for a while, or you just have to fill out your deck with a lot of stuff that only costs one black or one blue, and in order to not weaken it too much and to make the deck more consistent. And neither of those things work particularly well in the grand scheme of things, and certainly going through all of those contortions just to enable the casting cost of your commander kind of puts this guy on a low tier. But speaking of non-low tier generals, of course, I'm still using Breya. Looking a little over there. Hey, you. And I have a very good draw. I've got 2 land, missing a third, really, and missing a second blue or white mana. But I do have Divining Top, and of course the Insurance Vandal Blast. But what really makes this hand stand out the most is, of course, Duretti, the ingenious iconoclast. I was remarking to a friend of mine that this thing is, without a doubt, the strongest red-black card that I think has ever been printed in the entire history of the game. They've made some pretty good red-black spells in the past, cards like Void and Terminate, and a few others like that, but I don't think that anything even comes close to Duretti. This thing is so powerful, really at any stage of the game. If you play him on turn 2 or turn 3, and especially if you're going first, you kind of just dominate the game from that point onward. Plus it deals with all of the problem artifacts in the format, and it controls creatures. And I've played so many games, both online and live, where I've just gotten Duretti out early, and I've just dominated every other player with it single-handedly, and that is insane value for a 3-mana Planeswalker. He doesn't really have any type of downside. He protects himself. The ultimate is excellent. I can't say enough good things about Duretti. If you are playing a deck with access to black and red, and you do not have this guy in your deck, get him immediately. You will be doing yourself a great service, and you'll win lots of games on his goblin-y back. Anyway, my opponent, I believe, keeps 7, and I'm certainly going to keep this. So he's going first. Swamp. Thoughtseize. Alright, well, looking at my hand, if I were him, of course, I would take I'd probably take the Divining Top, although it really depends on what the rest of my hand looks like. Either that or Duretti, given the fact that Duretti is kind of a nightmarish card for blue-black to deal with. Even though he has a hexproof Planeswalker, it'll dominate all of his ramp cards and present a long-term problem. And blue-black in general is just super weak against Planeswalkers, so probably take this opportunity to take Duretti. Maybe the top in an effort to mana screw me. He takes Umezawa's Jitte. I guess he's had some traumatic experiences facing the Jitte in the past and is clearly afraid of it, although I don't even understand why a hexproof general would care about it. But I'm very happy to see a completely useless card in my hand go away. In fact, I think it's probably the worst card in my hand and certainly the least interactive card. Alright. Copy artifact. That's so weird that happens every time. I'm going to take 2 damage here. You notice I'm at 30, so we're still playing with... This game was played on the 21st, so about a week ago, but still playing with 30 life. I'm just going to put the top out. Alright, well, there's a dual land, and he's got his own Divining Top. That's fine. Tithe. Alright, well, that's excellent, especially if I've got a white mana source sitting on top of my deck. So I'm actually going to go look, since I have no interest in copying a Divining Top. He tops in response. Alright, on top I have 2 fetch lands and Factor Fiction. So I'm going to go and order those so that I draw the fetch lands next. There's no reason to draw one of them with the top, though, because I do have a Badlands to play first. So I'm just going to do that with the full intention of probably casting Duretti next turn. Probably getting the Verdant Catacombs on top. Seeing as how... Well, Bloodstained Mire, I guess, gets the Plateau. Verdant Catacombs gets... let's see, Black-White. Yeah, Scrubland, probably. I think Scrubland's a little more useful than Plateau once I've got a red source in play, because I do have things that cost multiple black in the deck, and I don't have anything that costs more than 1 red. He plays Soul Ring. Damn. Alright. Well, at least I still have Vandal Blast. It just says done. This is a good example, though, of how inconvenient his commander is. He's got black, and he would need a second blue mana and have to completely tap out to play a relatively ineffective and unimportant 3/3 creature to the board. And that's not what control decks really want to do. I'm not even going to use the top at the end of the turn, since I know I'm going to draw the Verdant Catacombs. So I'm sacking it here. Waste some more time in response. Alright, so I am indeed getting the Scrubland, since it gives me access to white. It's a pretty nice turn. One of the reasons I love Copy Artifact is that you can piggyback off opponents' Soul Rings and Mana Crypts, and it's very cheap to cast. More so than the Metamorph, which gives me the ability to Vandal Blast as well. Nothing better than that. Copy your Soul Ring and then destroy it. Pretty sweet. Alright, so we cast Liliana of the Dark Realms, and he does not have a second blue, so he wouldn't play his general even if he wanted to. That's kind of nasty. He gets a swamp with it. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Soul Ring to top at the end of the turn, and I see a perfect thing, exactly what I want, which is Volcanic Island on top. Because even though there's a Demonic Tutor there, and the Demonic Tutor presents a long-term route into Necropotence, I'm going to deal with this Liliana first. And that's one thing that Breya does. It's bust up Planeswalkers all day long. Just a perfect example of why this creature is so strong in control deck. Because you can just own the board against creatures, and you can interact with Planeswalkers extremely well. Look, he has another swamp, so he still does not have blue-blue. And he plays Obnixilis, or Nixilis. Obnixilis Reignited. Kind of a groovy Planeswalker. I guess it's a little on the pricey side, but the +1 ability is really good, and I guess it's kind of similar to Vraska in a way, although the +1 ability is certainly better. And, yeah, kind of a mediocre ultimate. And so he goes ahead, and interestingly enough, he uses Liliana after playing the General, which I think is a little strange, actually, to minus my guy, because if he doesn't do that, I guess I have the ability to gain 5, seeing as how the Thopters are going to finish off Liliana of the Dark Realms. So I'm not sure why playing his guy first makes any sense, but regardless, I'm going to sack Breya and sack a Thopter to go and deal 3 damage to his Obnixilis. That shrinks it down. He did draw a card from it, so he's got 3 counters on it. But yet another reason why Breya is amazing is that even after destroying the General, I still have this 1/1 flyer in play to kill off a Planeswalker with evasion. It's so awesome. Okay, so I've drawn Demonic Tutor. Kill off Liliana. I'm just going to tithe here. I can get 2 land, thanks to only having 4. I get 2 blue sources. And I'm just going to Demonic Tutor. And seeing as how I can just play Necro next turn, and he still only has a single blue mana in play, I'm pretty safe to fetch my own Necropotence. And of course, with this remaining mana, I can also deploy Duretti and use pretty amazing and make a token. So even though I can't kill his general with the ability to stack up these things and own any artifacts down the road is rather amazing. So he draws another card. He finally gets a second blue, which allows him to play a 3/3 with Hexproof. Deadly. I'm going to go use my Divining Top end of turn. There's a Force of Will on top, too. If you're about to cast Necro, I can't think of a card you'd probably want to see more, other than maybe Reliquary Tower or Thought Vessel, than a Force of Will sitting on top of your deck. So I'm just going to take the 2 there, just to open up my options. I don't think that the life's going to matter. Thopter can attack across and remove a counter from the Planeswalker. Make another token. And play Necro. And I decide ultimately I'm going to draw 6 here and go up to 8 cards in hand, figuring the chances of me drawing 2 land are rather high, and if I don't, I can throw away the Toxic Deluge, seeing as how I don't think that killing Lasav really matters that much. One thing I have noticed a lot since the conversion to 30 life, even though Necropotence is still, I think, a top-tier card, I don't find myself over-necroing as greedily anymore. I think you need to be a little bit more judicious about how you use it, because the life loss can come back to haunt you. It's no longer just this decadent, disgusting, take 15 arbitrarily, and don't be concerned because you're still in, above 20 life. Alright, I get Stoke Rebuttal, which I saw before on the top. Talisman, Wooded Foothills, Crucible, Treachery. Oh, I guess I only necroed up to 7. Alright, he gains life, draws a card. He casts Consuming Aberration. Alright, well, I guess that combines pretty well with Lasav at some point, although I haven't really seen any milling effects to go with it. And this Treachery was in the deck back on the 21st, is no longer in the deck, actually. It's been replaced, at least temporarily, by Batterskull. Batterskull is very fetchable with the Stoneforge Mystic, and seems to be a very, very solid solution to a lot of the aggro decks that are popping up. It's kind of a combination moat and kind of like moat Abyss a little bit against aggressive decks, and the life gain can be super swingy. The fact you can tutor for it so arbitrarily and put it into play. And of course, if you're ever able to equip it on a Breya, you get this 8/8 Vigilant thing that gains 8 a turn, and that's not only impossible to race, but gives you tons of life to offset all the extra life loss and Necro and stuff. So, pretty happy with Batterskull. I know Nate's been using it and has been very pleased with it. And Treachery, while I like it a lot, isn't really as much of a necessary tool. It's just kind of a good stuffed style card in the deck. Good to have and pretty handy, but I don't think it's mandatory. Kind of in the same category as Bribery in this kind of deck. Very powerful, but not a card you'd always want to use. All right, so he's going to attack me. I'll certainly just block it with one of these little guys. End of turn, use the top. Nice. There's a counterspell on top there too, if I need it. Yeah, I guess I don't even need it. With Stoic Rebuttal, Treachery, and Force of Will in my hand, I don't even need the counterspell. But I'm going to actually steal the Consuming Aberration here with Treachery for free. So gross. Why, thank you. And I have enough mana left to replay Breya trivially as well, which mills him some more. He's very quickly falling into a deep, deep hole. I'm just playing that to mill him some more. So I can even cast this Stoic Rebuttal off of the 2 blue sources left here. Just attack out Nilixis again, or Nixilis. And I just decide I'm not going to even let him draw any more cards. I'm just going to sacrifice a few artifacts here to finish him off. What did I sack there? Yeah, doesn't matter. The Force of Will just protects pretty much whatever he's going to do, so I don't even need to cast a Stoic Rebuttal. I can Necro a little bit more. And there's a useless Mox Diamond there, which I definitely don't need. So I'm going to toss that away. Going back to his turn. And I see him tapping a bunch of mana here. He casts Life's Finale, and that is a good, effective finale to this game when I Force Will it. And with that, he packs it in. So yeah, I don't think this game was really all that close. I guess the Thoughtseize Soul Ring opening could have been a lot more effective if he had taken out Duretti, or maybe even my Divining Top and crippled me a little bit, although I did have 2 lands on top. But I think taking Jitte would have ultimately not even affected the game at all if he had left me with it. And pretty good demonstration of just the flexibility of the deck, and just, again, how strong Breya is at owning Planeswalkers. Hope you guys enjoyed that game. I've got a lot more games coming, and some of them are super close, much closer than this one. See you later.